City's burning, power's gone. Silence screams where we belong. Empty shelves and broken streets.
Oh, hey. Fancy meeting you here. Welcome to the channel. This is Bushcraft Family. Today I thought I would touch on something. I always try to watch, anytime there's a new survival type movie comes out, I always like watching it, but I'm probably one of those people you don't want to sit next to and watch a movie with most of the time, because it irritates me when, fight scenes, endless supply of ammo, never goes out, they never reload, hardly ever have jams or anything like that, and it gets annoying. Or you see somebody when they're aiming, and if it's just ignoring when you see the tip of their gun pointing up and their target is down on the ground, then it should be facing that direction, but it's just annoying. Anyways, I thought I would come and give you a little perspective of survival movies. What survival movies get wrong, so to speak. And they do it a lot. I know it's for entertainment and stuff, but and let's go with the first one. The one that irritates me is how easy it is to start a fire. Even if they have a lighter, matches, or anything, they just touch it and boof, flame fire, and it's a raging fire and stuff like that. You can start a fire in your backyard with some wood and sticks and stuff, but if you don't have a good starting base, collecting, you start from the very finest and you work your way up to a log, and so many people just skip that. Or, nowadays we got these logs that you just light the package and it stays lit for hours, that type of thing. But out in a survival situation, you have to go get the wood. The wood doesn't appear in a nice little ring of stone in the middle of the forest and stuff. First of all, you have to prepare a spot for a fire. Most you never see this. You have to scrape all the leaves and all the debris, and depending what the situation is, either you want smoke or you don't want smoke, or you try to, if it's windy, you want to put your fire under the ground a little bit. There's so many things that, they just overlook this. Not to mention, unless you live in a desert, the wood most of the time is wet. So just picking sticks up off the ground doesn't mean they're going to, that's instant fire. No, it's not like that way. Not to mention, if you don't have a lighter, if you're using a kerosene rod to start a fire, majority of the time people don't even know how to use them, or don't even know that a new one, if you go to use it, people think, it doesn't work. This one's broken. They have a protective film over the outside of it to where when it's traveling in a package or a box or whatever, it doesn't rub against other ones and create a fire. So it has a protective film around it. Nobody ever says this. The next one, and this one, you guys know me about water. You'll see these films where they're dying of thirst and they're just getting down there in that water and just sucking it dry, and nobody ever gets sick. And most lakes that are in the survival ones, unless it's in the desert or something like that, which that has, it's a whole other thing. But these lakes, There's dead things in them lakes. You know, fish die, things die, bugs die, all this stuff. And most of these lakes have beavers. And there's a thing called Guardia or something like that. Yeah, I'm terrible with words. Anyways, that's just a tip of there's so many bacterias in the water. You know, the only really good thing is finding a stream that comes out of the mountain or a spring, so to speak, to where the earth filters it and there's no other contaminants above it. One thing that got me, I seen in a magazine one time where this guy's down there drinking his water, you know, filling his canteen up and everything, and he's got a little chat bubble above his head, or thinking bubble, or whatever they called, and he said, best water I've ever drank. And above there's a dead deer, and there's a cow taking a dump in the water, and, you know, just other things. And this moral of the story is, make sure what you're drinking, there's nothing upstream, so to speak. Another one is wounds. You know, so many times you see them getting shot, stabbed, and all this other stuff, and you know, they stick a rag on it and it goes away, or they don't do nothing. The fact being that just running through the woods or just living in the woods, you run across stuff, you scratch your arm, that one little scratch can end your life. All it takes is a little infection. If you don't clean that wound properly, and that doesn't mean going to that icky river and wiping it down, that's not sterile. That's incorporating bacteria and nasty stuff that you don't want. And our next one, anytime there's something a world comes to end type thing, or a shift thing, or to where there's hardly anybody left on Earth and stuff, there's always a guy that goes in and finds a can of chili or some sort of food, Twinkies, all kinds of stuff. But the reality is, you have to realize that if you do come across a store or a house or something, it has been looted by a couple hundred people at least, depending on how long the situation is. So the chances of you finding anything that is, you know, right in the kitchen cupboard is slim to none. You'd be lucky if you found ketchup packets or something like that. And that's just reality, you know. Or opening a fridge and there'd be a cold beer in there. No, it's not the way it happened. Most of the time, you go to other countries where somebody doesn't live in the house anymore, so to speak, or shack or cardboard box or whatever. As soon as that is vacant, it is stripped down to nothing. You look at some of these buildings in these other countries, the plumbing, the copper wire, everything is stripped out of these places. And that's what it would be like. Not to mention some of these the wood is being used for whatever purposes, or just for heating. In our next one, and I could go on for hours with these, but I'm going to go with this one because these survival videos or movies that you watch, a lot of times you come across people and they're just friendly, you know, they're trustworthy and all this other stuff. Reality of that would be they may be friendly and trustworthy and everything until their stomach growls. Once somebody hasn't ate for 3 days, 4 days, or longer, if they see you walking down the road with a backpack, they'll risk anything to see what you have in that backpack. And that is the reality of it. You know, and the majority of the people that you would run into will not be in good moods. Not taking a bath for days, not drinking for a couple days, rationing what food you do have or whatnot. And say you're on the side of a mountain or in the woods somewhere and you're cooking some bacon. I guarantee you it's like you would have so many people running to you to take what you have. And that is what a lot of these survival movies leave out. There are some, you know, watch The Road. The Road is a good one. What's that other one with the blind guy? Denzel Washington, where he was a blind guy and reading a book and stuff. Every time he go through an area, there's people wanting to rob his stuff, and you know that's the reality of it. There are some good movies out there to watch for this, and maybe I'll do a video on that one day. What some good movies would be to watch that would be more accurate than some of these videos or movies that they have out. But anyways, I thought this would be a good idea just to clear the air with these survival movies and stuff. There are some good ones, and I know most of them are just for entertainment and stuff, but when this happens, it's not going to be like in the movies, as they say. It's going to be real life and real danger. So hopefully we'll never have to deal with that. But if it happens, it happens. And yeah, until next time, like always, God bless.